This week is National Wills Week, so it's a great time to review your will. If you don't have one, make sure you prioritize this immediately. To find out more about what should be in your will and what makes a will valid, I'm speaking to Monica Moodley, Legal Advisor Manager at Old Mutual. So Monica, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us some insights into what to do in your will during this Wills Week. One of the stats, though, that really shocked me when I was researching this is that 70% of South Africans do not have a will, even if they have a family. What happens if you die without a will?
In South Africa, we do have freedom of testation. If for whatever reason a person dies without having a valid will drafted, then that person is deemed to have died intestate, and the estate will devolve in terms of the Interstate Succession Act. There is a strict predetermined order of inheritance. Dying without a will means that now the Master of the High Court needs to come in and appoint an executor to wind up that estate. If you die without a will, it could take a few weeks or even months to actually wind up that estate, which could be very detrimental to the family members as well as, the intended beneficiaries.
If you have children, what should you consider having in your will? What should be putting in there to protect your children?
If there is minor children especially, it is of utmost importance that there be a legal guardian that has been nominated. The legal guardian will take custody of those children and also will be legally entitled to take care of them until such time they can take care of themselves. It is also important to make provision for a testamentary trust, especially when there is a concern that the spouse may remarry. The assets that are bequeathed to the minor children can now be kept in trust and managed by the appointed trustees.
If you're married in community of property or even ANC with accrual, how does that affect your will and what you can actually allocate in your will?
When you are drafting a will, it is of vital importance that you understand the effect that your marital regime has on your bequest. A marriage in community of property means that you and your spouse co-own all of the assets. Only one half of that estate now belongs to the deceased and is available for distribution amongst the beneficiaries. When you're married out of community of property, then there's a bit more of freedom of testation. You can then bequeath your assets according to who you deem fit.
Your retirement funds do not necessarily form part of your will either, that they've treated very separately in terms of your estate. How does that work?
The proceeds of retirement funds is distributed by the trustees of the fund in terms of Section 37C of the Pension Funds Act. In determining who should benefit, the trustees will take into account the beneficiary nominations, but also all those that are financially dependent on the deceased. So even if the beneficiary has been selected, it is at the total discretion of the trustees whether they should inherit or not.
So I started off by saying, make sure you have a will in place, go out and do one. But how easy is it to write up a will, and when should you go and get advice?
Many people actually choose to draft their own will, a do-it-yourself will using a template. It has its advantages, it also has its disadvantages. Drafting your own will is a low-cost option, but it can carry considerable risk. Sometimes a will is not valid because the person that is drafting the will does not have the necessary skill, knowledge, or expertise to ensure that all the requirements of the Wills Act actually has been met.
So thank you so much, Monica. Don't leave your loved ones with an admin nightmare. Make sure you have a will in place, even if it's just a basic one. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so now. Push that subscribe button so that you don't miss any more brilliant financial tips that are going to get you on track financially.